Welcome to the More You Look podcast. Welcome to the More You Look podcast.
Remember how back in the days, your friend would invite you to house parties, and that used to be the in thing back then. We didn't have mobile phones, we didn't have all these camera phones, we didn't really have social media. I don't even think we had MySpace back then. We didn't even have internet in Nigeria back then in the 90s, did we?
Well, you know what?
The internet didn't come till late 90s, I think.
Mid 90s.
Mid 90s.
Yes. Because when I was in Ibadan,
it was closer to the 2000s. The reason why I said that was because I finished secondary school in 95. We did not have internet. Then I had to go, I did JAM, we didn't have internet. I still remember that. Till I then went back to Lagos. Then I did not.
So is that Ogun State?
Yes.
Okay.
And
so in Ibadan, there was internet in 96. Yes, there was internet in 96 because there's a friend of mine who I used to go to his house and they had dialogue. So I used to go to his house for 3 things actually. We used to play basketball, then they had a satellite dish and they had internet.
Wow. Because for me, even my email address, I have one email address to be my first Yahoo. It's February 2001.
Oh, really?
Yeah, 2001. But I know the internet came a little bit before that. Yes. But I never could recall, those were the days anyway. But what I want to talk about is unwritten rules at house parties. You already know that if somebody invited you back then, you don't invite somebody else.
Don't bring somebody else.
Yeah. And a house party is never fully enjoyable if there are more men than women.
Always out.
Yeah. Once you hit the party like this in those days, and you see all the girls, you know that this is going
party. It's going to be lit. It's going down. Yes.
What I vividly remember was there's this house that we used to live in there in Okomaiko, and the landlord's son decided to throw a party. And they made me a DJ. And back then, being a DJ in a house party meant you have these 2 record players where you can play one cassette in here, and before it finishes, you
switch to the next one.
And that was what I was doing then. And so I couldn't really engage much because I was a DJ. And I was just doing things then, And back then was when, I think Osha Raymond started his career, I think. And, I remember then, they used to call me Osha.
Okay.
Because I like breakdancing a lot there. And for me, I just wanted to get into one of the unwritten rules of house parties because I was pressed. I wanted to use the room. So I went to their house, and I never go into their house because, they were our landlords there. So I went to their house, I'm looking for toilets everywhere. Opened the room, and I saw one of our other friends getting naked from the organizer's mom.
Yeah.
And I have never talked about this since then.
Oh my goodness.
I swear to God. That's one of the things you take to the grave. I'm just saying that I can talk about it. I mean, it's been how many 20-something years ago, They can go and find themselves and kill themselves.
Wait, will the guy know?
I don't know.
The guy don't know.
He never knew.
No. So I'm saying if somehow, he watches this, somehow.
Well, he probably won't know who exactly it is. Because I have not mentioned it.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. But I caught...
Yeah, but it's back like his mom.
Yeah, I caught one of our other friends getting naked from his mom in a room. I swear to you. And the irony of that, the funny thing is, fast forward back to the UK, I've seen the same thing happen.
Wow.
This guy probably know. Neyo. His name is Neyo. Call him Neyo. And I think they had a party, like a house party there in the UK. And his girlfriend was white. He's white, I mean. So I walked in on him. Actually, that was in the elevator because they lived in all these high-rise buildings. And as I was waiting for the elevator to come up, when it opened, I found his girlfriend's mom right there on her knees, giving him neck.
Oh God!
In the elevator.
Oh yes.
I said,
what's wrong with him?
I genuinely believe the reason why I get headaches nowadays is because of the things I have there in my head. Don't let me even delve into the things that I know that I've seen while I was in uni in Nigeria. Don't let me go there. I just want to know, like, what's unwritten, house party rules? Like, do you know, like, what interesting things, has happened to you while, back in those days, when we were in Shango Day, as they call it, when we were out and about town, like, what's experiences?
I think the biggest thing for me would be don't take your girlfriend to the house.
Ooh, everybody knows that's a
Don't do that.
Everybody knows that, because I tried that once, and I won't lie to you.
It didn't end well.
Yeah, they were fighting. They were fighting. And you know whose house it was? It was Shemu's house. In Apple of Fame. And what happened there was this girl I was dating in uni there. So Shemu wanted to throw a party in Apple of Fame, his mom's flat. And his mom was deeper life, by the way. So very strict back then. She wasn't around. She had traveled to America then. So we started to throw this party, and I thought, you know what? Come round, So I invited my girlfriend, whose father was a pastor. So, those street pastors, she's not allowed to wear trousers and stuff. So she came with a change of clothes.
So she'll come out looking.
Yeah, so she came to Shemu's house to change her clothes for the party. And the party was going so well, lots of girls, which was where the trouble came. So this girl just came wanted to dance with me, and I was, kind of trying to get in the groove. And every time a girl was trying to dance with you, your girlfriend just comes and just hot sing. And I was kind of enjoying the attention, and before I knew it,
Which way?
that's goose.
Oh my god.
Started from there. To the point where I had to get my girlfriend and just walk out to the bus stop, get out of the bus, send her home, and then I went back to the party to enjoy. So another written rule is never take your girlfriend to a house party. So rule number one, what you see at any house party, let it just die there, stay with you.
Yeah, but this happens.
So it's been 20-something years ago now, and what happened in the UK, they knew about it.
So
they
that's a statute of limitation.
Let me tell you, yes. I'm going to tell you, this what happened in the UK. It caused a lot of stuff to the point where marriages ended.
Of course. Why wouldn't it?
Marriages ended, but the information didn't come from me.
Okay.
But it wasn't only me standing there.
Right.
You get it? So, to the point where the guy involved had to move completely out of the postcode. Moved to another postcode entirely.
Oh, were they drunk? Or was it something that had been happening?
What I was saying, I don't know, but shit happened. So, what's other unwritten rule? If you have any, you can quit from behind the camera, Sky, because I know you back then. You be cool you back then. You be gangster back then.
I was a pastor. I was
lying. This guy.
Running to St. Mark.
This guy definitely.
I think my thing was always, and I think that's the reason why I don't really drink, because I like to have a clear head to know exactly what I'm doing.
God.
I will never be in a position where anything I've done, I'm not aware of. So that's a big thing for me, because end of the day, I have friends who've had horrible encounters just because they had too much to drink and they made, some decisions
Don't even the start. I really remember this, 1999, my friend Cyril, we call him CJ. So he organized this house party, and back then, never drank alcohol. Not an alcohol. Even now, I'm just a casual, drinker. I only drink maybe on special occasions and stuff. I'm not really big on alcohol and stuff like that. But back then, total no. And those punches they used to make at these house parties. Any house party had the same thing. So what I didn't know was they had this punch that they made with weed.
Always.
And also, condiments. And I was really thirsty. And they gave me this punch. And I just thought, well, everyone's drinking, even the girls said. So
what they have in it, what's that silver bottle thing?
Yeah, that has a tap in front of it. So they gave it to me and I drank it because I thought, well, all the girls are drinking it. And what I forgot was, you don't try to compete with some girls when it comes to Jesus Christ. What happened eventually later that day was, go back to my room, to my hostel, try getting into my room. But what I didn't understand was, I was wondering, why are people holding me? Why are they trying to do? Apparently what I was doing there was, I was trying to open my door, but the key was on the ground, and I was forcing the key to the ground. And that was me trying to open my door. And I did not know. It was the next day, but thankfully, no mobile phones back then. Nothing like all this, social media, or else.
Imagine
I would have ended. Can I just say something? I genuinely believe that's a good segue. I believe that if we had mobile phones, if we had Instagram, Instablog, Gist Lover and all these blog sites back in say late 90s to the mid 2000s, especially when I was in uni. Oh my God. Nigeria would have imploded. Because if you really look through the internet, majority of what they share, it revolves around somebody did fake bots, somebody bought a house, how did they buy this house, how are they able to afford 400 million naira house, somebody, two celebrities fighting, AY, basket mouths or whatever. But back then, the things that some of us did or the things that we witnessed, do we want to talk about the actual murders that happened in school? You know what I'm saying? The things that we saw. I mean, in my area, we used to have this guy called. So now you won't be up to me alone. I'll share a story. You share a story. You will share a story to this guy.
This presupposes that I have to.
It was hard because back then there's this guy in my area called Alado. We lived in Okokomako then, what they call the deep trenches. And this guy was so powerful that people believe that he was deep into juju and all those spiritual stuff. He had one eye. This guy terrorized the entire area. People were so afraid of him. Until one day, OPC, that was when OPC, those OPC were like vigilantes in the area. And what they did was, they were looking for him everywhere. And, this guy came to the area. There's this friend of mine that works in the shop that rents party chairs, like a dozen. Okay. So I will go sit there just to catch the breeze. Because the shop is right in front of the road.
Okay.
So I can just sit there and chat. And this guy came to the shop and asked us to give him money to eat. And when you see Alado, it's like the wire. Did you watch the wire? When Omar is coming with the gun and everybody's running, that was how it was. It was legendary in that area. And when he came to ask us, we keep giving to him everything we had. And he was standing there, and OPC came and they were looking for this guy, running into shops, asking him, and he was just standing there. And I was wondering, what is he? Why? But we couldn't say anything, but we were just, I'm like, he's just standing there. So he was just looking at us, saying like this. So we just started, and they were asking us if we had seen it, that somebody said he passed into that street. And we said no, and he was just standing there. And for me, that was I won't say my first experience, first hand with like all this metaphysical juju stuff, because I've always heard of, when I was in secondary school.
Maybe they just didn't recognize it. Is that a possibility?
They knew him. They eventually caught him and killed him. Because what happens, even if they didn't caught him, from the gist that we heard, because there's this popular fuel station, filling station in our area. So what happened was, the day they caught him, they went into the filling station. This guy was down and got petrol. Right. And they poured the petrol all on him. And as they were striking matches and throwing it on him, it was not igniting. So it took for one of the OPC guys to go out. They now called one of the leads, one of their superiors. This thing, the guy now came with proper jazz. Right. So the guy removed the necklace from his neck and wore it for him. Yeah. And that was when they could burn him alive. But think of it, back in Nigeria then, do you know the number of murders you see? When I relocated to Nigeria with my mom as a kid, first culture shock of being back on African soil was watching the first, what do you call it now, Jungle Justice. This guy went to a barber shop and stole some money or something, and they beat this guy and bought him right alive. I was standing there. I was in private school then. And when I went to school, there was traffic, so we stopped. And I was watching this thing from the back of the car. I thought, they are actually killing a human being like it's nothing. You know what I mean? So, if we had social media back then, I genuinely believe that Nigeria would probably have, it would probably affect our tourism, or because nobody would want to come to Nigeria because of all the things. Do we have to talk about countless stories of, union days, cultism that happened right in front of our eyes, So, you will give us.
I guess I've lived a quieter life compared to you. So to be fair, when I was in my 3rd or 4th year, my next door neighbor was what do they call the guys that go out to kill people?
Oh, like an assassin?
Like a capo or something.
Oh, okay.
It was a capo in one of the calls.
Oh, okay, yeah.
He lived right next door, right? So there was someone that I knew, who cooked beans, he asked for salt, and all of that. But we all knew what he was, So there's a particular night that I can't forget, because that evening there were loads of people coming and going from his room. They had maybe a gallon or two of palm wine. So apparently I found out after the fact that it was initiation night.
Oh, right.
You know, so initiation night happened from that room, like they moved from that room. So one day, okay, no. So typically I cannot read for exams until it's 2 weeks to exams. I just can't.
Not only you.
I just cannot. Right, I just can't. But I had a roommate who was studying law. I had one who was studying pharmacy. I had one who was studying vet medicine. Right. So they, I suppose, had to be reading all the time. So what I just thought to myself, you know what? Only so I don't want in school. So every night I'm the only one in the room. Okay, Bayo, you need to go and try and read now. So I tried. I went to the library, but I realized I'll go to the library and sleep off. So I went back to the room. I'll read when I'm ready, Jerry. But then I got to the room and realized it's quiet. So what if, and I think around that time, maybe one of those call things that happened again where they killed someone. So I'm thinking to myself, I'm D14. That's D13. What if, guys just bust in and spray and oops. So I just started my books and I left. And these are things that like you kind of live through when you're in Nigeria. It kind of goes back to seeing people burnt alive, seeing my sister went to Polybadon. And her lingo when she went to school was Oshine, Kondori, and it's normal, it's regular balance because, that's all you see around you. And it doesn't really make it doesn't mean anything to you,
To be fair, for me, it was like a constant, like a constant stream of violence. Because then
also wasn't
back in Lagos, this is the funny thing for me. Back in Lagos, when I'm in Lagos, I'm supposed to be home, but we lived in the trenches. At about 5, 6 o'clock, there was a long period of time where everybody has to go into their room and just lay on the floor. Wow. Because you just be hearing gunshots of all these, if it's not Agbero, fighting police or something. So, and stray bullets would kill quite a lot of people back there. So, once the gunshot starts, you lay on the floor. Then, when I eventually start going back to school, and I'm thinking, finally, I get a break from all this.
Same thing.
Get back to school, but I lived in the deep, like I lived in Ayigba. It's like territories, like in America, they say the rates. If you go to
I know.
If you go to like Compton or something, they say the Peru or the Crips. Then they say the areas you don't go to. That was how it was in school. They segmented areas. And in that Ayigba, the popular cult groups that lived there were the Blackers. And that was in the deep. Where people would even mistake us for cultists, they would, label us cultists and stuff. But I would go back to school and the same thing. When the gunshot starts and they start chasing themselves around, we'll lay flat on the floor. They're like, how is it Lagos school is the same experience for me, But, there are people who still went through that system that have no stories to tell. Lucky enough. And we're not saying this to glorify cultism and anything. What I would say to you, like Modai said, if you bang with the colors, your rest of mind will leave you. I have a good question for you. And I'm going to ask someone this. What are the things that you, in your opinion, would surprise women about life as a man? That would surprise women about life as a man.
I've never actually thought about this before, but I think the most maybe poignant actually is we're not as strong as we pretend to be.
Amen to that.
We're not as strong as we pretend to be. The irony of having this conversation is I've over the past maybe 18 months, actually maybe since I moved here, I've thought about hosting a space. Now, I don't necessarily mean, Twitter space or just hosting a space where men can actually have conversations.
Like a safe space.
Because and I think it's not even necessarily cultural in the sense of African men. I think just generally, men are supposed to have their shit together. because
But that's what society
historically we're supposed to be the providers, which means we're supposed to be stronger than the women. And how can you be strong if you are weak? So you have to put a bold face out there when maybe you are dying inside. So yeah, it is. And I guess again, if maybe your father before you has handed something down to you, you don't want to forehand in a sense.
Yeah.
So you want to also put on a brave face. You mentioned something earlier about people who have all the money in the world who then go and kill themselves. So if you look at the story of the comedian.
Yeah, something Williams.
Yes.
That's always everybody's go-to.
Yeah, because he smiles. He smiles, he makes everybody happy.
Yeah, but
then he goes and ends it and ends it. Or the Bourdain for instance. The chef. Yeah. Same thing really. At the end of the day, it's just too much pressure. And sometimes it gets too much. And maybe you think, you know what? The only way to get out of this is, because we're not leaving this place alive anymore. So some people probably think, it's probably best to end it now. Rather than suffer through it. Which is probably why it's important to have conversations. Because you never know what the conversation does for you. And if you are in a bad place already anyway, what's the worst thing a conversation can do? You understand? So that's
Well, the issue that I have, because you say we're looking through life as a man from a woman's eyes. And for me, it's how women you even get the women that will say, you know what? Speak up. Don't try to be strong. Show your emotions. But guess what happens the moment you show those emotions?
You're weak.
Those same women will totally have a different view of you, and now you're weak. So I don't know
how one balances things.
And I think
you know what? So as far as I'm concerned, and this is a personal opinion, right? I generally don't care what the other person thinks about me. Generally, I generally go about my business, doing whatever makes me happy, or whatever makes me, whatever satisfies my soul. It doesn't matter to me what the next person says, because at the end of the day, it's my life. You understand what I'm saying? And as long as it's my life, I'm the one who gets the reward of whatever so when I say rewards, it could be good or it could be bad. So it shouldn't really matter what the next person thinks or what the next person says. So if I feel the need to cry and sob like a baby, I will, as long as it takes me from where I am to the next phase, then it's fine. It doesn't matter what someone says. If someone says you are weak, does it make you weak? No.
Only if you think so.
Do you understand what I'm saying?
My grandma used to say something to me when she was alive, God rest her. So she used to tell me that, until words no longer have power over you, you will never be free.
There you go.
Yeah.
There you go. I think I'll actually use that.
Yeah. I have another one for you. It says here, somebody said something. It said, a man falls in love once. If a man's relationship with the love of his life doesn't work out, then we move on physically, not mentally. And it says that when he gets with another woman, he's only occupying space and time, which then causes him to act out of character some of the time, doing things he never did before because he feels unfulfilled. No, so now I don't want to read the entire paragraph. Do you really think there's any truth to the fact that when a man meets the one, and then that one gets away, do you think that when he now carries on his life and meets someone else, he has not fully moved on from the one that got away?
Let's look at what your grandmother said to you. So repeat that so I can use it.
Yeah, until words no longer have power over you, you will
So I'm kind of going to borrow from that and say, so again, this is my opinion. So in my opinion, there is no such thing as love the way Hollywood paints it. So Hollywood paints, some kind of like there's a specific
kind of love
thing about love,
Yep.
and it doesn't really exist because I read something I think on Twitter maybe just yesterday, and what it basically says is, you think you are in love with someone because you made your mind up to love the person. So when they do something to you, because you think you love them, because you've processed yourself to say that you love them, you allow them to do all sorts of things. Having said that, when they say there's a thin line between love and hate, it's because it's a decision. It really is a decision. You understand what I'm saying? So, essentially, so again, I'm not some...
No, I'm following you here. I once told you that I believe love is not unconditional.
I mean...
Every love, if someone tells you I love that, there are always conditions attached
to that, yeah.
Because I believe that majority of people who say they love other people, if that love gets the first real test, major test, that's when you discover that there are conditions to this shit.
There you go.
See?
There you go.
That's just my own belief.
There you go. So for me, I think, by and large, the only set of people you can say you actually really love is when you have kids. I mean, so yeah, you can love your parents, but once you have kids, that's when you understand that, oh my goodness. Because you know that
you're willing to die for.
You understand what I'm saying? Yeah. And that's right there, is it. So I joke with my wife, it's a very expensive joke, very, very expensive, And I say, oh, I love these children. But I explain to her that, you know what, at the end of the day, right, you go out there and you meet someone and you decide, because that's what it is, you make a decision that, you know what, I'm going to spend the rest of my life with this person. Because what you've done is you've looked at the situation and you said, you know what, okay, this person is 80% good. The 20% where we don't really match, I can live with. Yeah, let's go. That's what we've both done as man and woman, or man and man, if that's your thing, or woman and woman. You understand what I'm saying? So that at the end of the day, it's actually transactional. It's transactional. You sign a document. So whether you go to church or you go to court or you go to your Ifa priest or whatever, but it's transactional. And that's the reason why you try. You did this one, it doesn't work, you move on. You did this one, it's transactional. But with your parents, there's no transaction. With your siblings, there's no transaction. With your children, even if it doesn't work with you and your partner, whoever it is, once you have children, there's,
It's a different ballgame.
You understand what I'm saying? So that's the way I see things. I like to be a bit practical about things. Right now, it's not to say that you don't love your wife or your partner. It's just to say there's a transaction behind it.
But if
you think about it, for anyone who's been married, I'm not sure there's anyone who will say they've never thought, you know what am I even doing here?
But here's the thing though, I think there are few cases where you don't see conditions. Like if you look at Idris Abdulkarim, when he had kidney problems and everything, and his wife just already gave him one of her kidneys. For me, that's huge. That's huge. And there are cases you see online where people develop terminal illness, and then that's when their partner will then go ahead and actually marry them, just to show that I'm with you up to the end. Has nothing to
And those are the best of human beings.
Unconditional love,
Those are the best of human beings. Having said that, I still don't think it's unconditional. I think there are conditions behind, avoid it and I'm fine, I'm good. It's still a condition.
For me, I think that I would describe as selfless kind of love. Because if you really think about it, majority of the marriage crashes that we're experiencing person online that every day, especially with celebrities and even people around you, is either one of them lost their job or whatever, and again, the other party has to then carry the entire family for a few months, then frustration sets in, then friction sets in, then you start resenting that person. I mean, look at this relocation thing we've been talking about. You know, you get a couple coming to this country with kids, most of them had good jobs from Nigeria, they've now come into the UK, only to realize that, well, childcare could make or break us. So one of us has to sacrifice and stay home with the kids and do all the school run and all the other stuff. Then the other person has to then work to take care of the house, the bills, which will never stop, you know. And then after a few months, you realize that frustration sets in, friction sets in, long-term resentment sets in, and once you start crossing that line, the beginning of a
So the way I see it, right? Again, I want to say first of all that I don't know individuals. I don't know what individuals are going through. So individuals will have their stories that determine what decision they make, down the line. Having said that, personally, before I got married, I asked a lot of questions, and I think that's the one thing people don't do, people first of all rely so much on Hollywood, so I'm going to go back to Hollywood because I think Hollywood has
love stories.
People look at Hollywood as their standard, which is untrue. You have to look at people who live your daily reality. And when I say your daily reality, you live in Lagos, so they live in Lagos, they go through that traffic, that's someone like you. Because you're going to be doing the same thing they've done. They ask them questions, how did you manage when X, Y, Z? Because it will probably happen to you. So I did a whole lot of that before I got married. So that by the time that I was going to get married, I had decided, there is nothing that will happen that will make me think about going apart from my wife. Nothing. I mean, short of maybe she becomes physical and there's a knife or there's a gun or there's a clock or whatever. This is a matter of life and death.
There's a life.
But otherwise, there's
no issues that have to be solved.
Exactly. So because what I've realized is a lot of people have left or can separate. It's right there. So one small thing happens, I can pick up that card. It's not a card that should be on the table. It's a card that should be a last, something you keep in your back pocket. Where last resort, then I can pull out this card. It shouldn't be something that you can see readily, that you can reach out, that you can reach for in the immediate. And I think that's the major problem. Because when you go to the courthouse or you go to church or whatever, you say, for better, for worse. It should actually mean for better, for worse.
I think because people hear that every time and they say it every time.
So it has no meaning.
Yeah, I don't think that. I mean, look at the world around you now. Every time online, you see people do this big fanfare wedding and everything. 1 year later, it's done.
It's over.
It's pretty much wrapped up.
So I think that's the other thing. The year I got married, Basketball got married. I think the November before my December. Basketball got married. I think Bella did November got married. So I told my wife, I'm not going to have the wedding of the year. Yeah. Because basketball, of course. Yeah. When I was getting married, let's just do a small thing. In fact, I didn't tell, I have a name. I didn't tell people. I did not tell people. I think I chose a funny day when I knew people wouldn't be around. I called just maybe 2 or 3 people from the music industry. I went to get married. Because I said, I don't want a carnival. Then why am I feeding all these people?
Yeah.
I don't want that. I want to be able to pay attention to my marriage, not the wedding. The wedding is 1 day.
Yep.
So people pay too much attention to the wedding and not enough to the marriage.
Yeah, I think that's what.
Because the wedding is a party. It's easy. It's easy. As long as you have the money for it, you can borrow money, so it's not a big deal. You can borrow money and buy the fanciest dress and feed 10,000 people and have champagne flowing, and everybody will remember that day.
Yeah.
But nobody will care.
Yeah. If 2 years, 3 years
time,
time, everything ends.
That's what I'm saying.
That same fanfare will now look ridiculous.
Yeah, so for me, it was more important to focus on, okay, what are we doing? And I think it's also that like people don't have those conversations. Because what you don't want is you don't want to get to a crossroads where you think this way and your partner thinks the other way. So there are conversations that you should have had from jump. Oh, when we have children, I'm going to go to church. I had that conversation with my wife. Like, because my kids have to grow up in church. Not because, like, personally, if they grow up and decide that they don't want to go to church and they want to do something else, you know what? They are grown up. They can make whatever decisions they want to make. But the whole point behind giving them that structure is to ensure that besides what I'm giving them at home, they're also getting something that puts them on the straight and narrow. Because what you don't want is, you don't want a situation where it doesn't really matter. You know, there's no moral, you know, I say moral, you know, there's no moral compass that guides them. You know, so they go to the Catholic school, and that's my wife. You know, so that's the other thing. So they go to the Catholic school so that at least while you're within the Catholic school, there's some sort of discipline. So there's discipline in school, there's discipline in the house. You know, to ensure that okay, at least while they're growing up, when their brains are still soft and they are absorbing all of this stuff, they know that okay, there's a right and a wrong way, and this is the right way. As against just leaving everything to freestyle, yeah, whatever happens. You know, and these are conversations that need to be had, because I think the most important thing in this world is raising children.
Oh yeah.
It's the most important thing in the world. There's, you know, they always say this, there's no manual.
Oh yeah. I mean, to be fair, there's no manual to most things. There's no manual to marriage, parenting, even friendship, you know. The only thing you can say probably is a manual to probably business. Because you've seen others do it.
Yeah.
So just following their template. You know, before I forget, there was a question that Mr. Sky, behind the camera, there was a question he wanted to ask.
Yeah, so basically I was talking
You have
about...
to speak up so that the mic can catch you.
Yeah, so basically I was talking about on Industry House podcast, the other podcast I showed in. We had these guys that were that are club owners. So basically they've been doing this for about 10, 15, 20 years, some of them. They've been investing in you know, Afrobeats. Now it's gone global, you know, so I think some of the things that I heard on that day when we shot with them was that some of them feel like, okay, now that Afrobeat is where it is, when they get this artist to try and even come, when they are in town, you understand, not like from Nigeria, or maybe when they know they are going to be in town, or even sometimes they want to bring them all the way from Nigeria. These artists are quoting O2 Indigo prices. You understand, for a venue, which is a nightclub that does not have, it doesn't have, I doubt if there's any club in the UK that has, African club that has 2,000 capacity.
No, of course not.
You get, so these guys are not going to definitely make that money back. You know, so some of them are like, these artists need to show love to them. You know, like, one of them even said the good thing that they liked about Wizkid was the first place he performed when he ever came to the UK before he became a mega star. You understand? When he sold out O2, he still came back there just to hang out with them. You know, that kind of thing. And that in turn kind of brings business for them, because if their customers know that big names like Weezy, they pass through, you know. And as opposed to some of the other ones who, when they call, they're giving them bills for a concert.
Yeah, so what's the question?
So the question is, what do you feel about that? You know, about the unsung heroes of getting Afrobeats to where it is today.
You know what? I apologize. I had to club owners. You know, nobody owes anybody. Nobody owes anybody.
You feel there's an issue of sense of entitlement?
Yes, there is. I'll explain, right? So easily I can say that what we call Afrobeats today we developed. So when I say we, I work with Ayane Marshall. Ayane Marshall started a magazine called Hip Hop World in 1995. At the time, his contemporaries and his senior ogas were laughing at him, because hip hop. What is hip hop? Like, hip hop is something Western. Why are you starting a platform called Hip Hop World? But he was lucky when one of the big bosses, I think at Fame, gave him the center spread of the magazine. So that's where Hip Hop World started from, before he went and started publishing by himself. Now, note that at this time, the big talents in Nigeria were your Blackies and your Daddy Wilsons, because at the time, the big music was dancehall. You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So,
Fuji.
So again, when you say, oh, you want to start a magazine called Hip Hop World, it's like, what are you doing? Like, what are you really doing with your life? But somewhere around the late 90s came your Nelson Browns and your Babadis and your Sound Sultans and your Plantation Boys, and your Jeffo Clans,
Yes.
and then all of a sudden we're beginning to create a sound that is our sound, even though it relied heavily on the West, but at least now, you could hear stuff that sounded like something you liked. I referred earlier to the Keke on OGBC and then Olusegun so I joined Hip Hop World in 98. So if you think about it, we were right there when these guys were starting.
Yes.
All of the soft cells and newspapers did not care about them because they weren't the big, they weren't the big deal. So I can say with facts, and I can show you the fact that, we are the first set of guys to give these guys a platform. But I won't say that because of that, because in truth, I made a lot of money, but he lost a lot of money,
Of course.
because he stuck to his guns. When I started working, I did talent management, I had a record label, I lost a lot of money. I worked with Damian Ade, I didn't make a dime. I put money in, I didn't get any money out. I can say today, just because I did all of that, then if I call
she should be at your record call now.
But that's not the way it works.
So should you not get a discount? That's what they're saying. They're not saying for free.
What he's saying
Here's the thing.
they don't
If she
still owe
gives
them.
me a discount, fantastic. If she doesn't,
But it's not set in stone that she has.
No. They did say that they're not asking for freebie.
Yeah.
so that's what I would say. So the way I look at it is this. So I can say, I am Bayo Omisore because I've done this for 20-something years. So I should call anybody and say I am Bayo Omisore, and they should start, run. I can say that.
But they were not saying arrogant.
Wait. So again, I'm not necessarily saying this for them. I'm not saying for anyone who thinks like that. You need to look at it from a different perspective. If you have something of value to give, then you can say, how far now? Do something for me now. What I would say, right, is for these guys, if your space is 100, maybe 200 capacity, the truth is you cannot afford to bring these guys.
Yeah.
That's the truth. That's the honest to God truth.
And you know what? Saying this is why I will always respect Two-Face. Because I remember when we were in Unwritten, when we did that beauty pageant with the Lacrim Productions and all that stuff. I mean, we must have used a venue that was probably 200-ish capacity. And the money we paid for Two-Face, because we used his name to advertise, that was at his peak when he had Grass to Grace, that African Queen and stuff. And it was getting mega money for all these big shows, but because we knew somebody who knew him, and it was open to us, and they treated us very fairly, and we paid for a walkthrough, just appearance fee, because his name is on the flyer. People want to see Two-Face, but you know what this guy did? On the day of the show, we put him in a convertible so that people could see him. We drove him around the campus, all around the town and all that. And then that night, he showed up. and they showed everybody saw it, took pictures with fans and all that stuff. And on his own free will, because of the relationship he had with one of the organizers who knew him from way back, this guy went on the stage and performed 4 songs. He didn't have to do that. He did not have to do that. The money we paid him for was for appearance, not part. He went on the stage and he performed 4 or 5 songs from his new album. You know, so he did that of his own free will. He did not have to, he didn't owe us to do that. So basically, I think it's a give and take.
So if a whiskey chooses to go back to
that relationship and just do it,
that's his prerogative. That's up to him. That's his decision to make. It's not for the show promoter to say, oh, just because at the end of the day, don't forget, regardless of the fact that you supposedly are helping build something, you're also in it for the coins. You understand what I'm saying? So what I would say is, if the instance comes where, okay, so Afrobeats is now big, and because I've done something 10, 15 years ago, I want to benefit now, change your
find a different direction.
Find a different way to plug in. So if it's a case where there are 5 of us and our venues are 200 each, I would say, why don't you come together, find a place that is big enough for all your crowds, because now you have volume. Now you have volume, you can do your bar and do your food and everything. You have a bigger space. So now potentially you have more money. You can pay a whiskey, whatever he's asking for, maybe not. Maybe not. But you can pay the money they're asking for. You can actually tell them, oh, you know what, help us, whatever it is. Find someone that knows them, do whatever you have to do, get him in the door, but at least now there are 1,000 people you are servicing. Yeah. There's maybe 2,000. And you can make it a pop-up. So it happens every month, every 2 months. It's when I say it's a one-off, it's not a fixed thing. It's something you do seasonally. You understand what I'm saying? That way you're not complaining, you are actually making money.
So in other words, you're asking them not to do what taxi drivers in the UK did, which was waiting for a technology company to come and take
advantage. Do you understand what I'm saying?
Of what Uber and Bolt and the rest.
Because
when they came, they took the Uber.
You know what the truth is? Let me tell you what the truth is. Nobody cares. That's the truth. That's the truth. In business, nobody cares. In business, what you have to do is you can't remain, static. You have to evolve. So if evolution means, oh boy, what's the name? Whiskey is asking for $10,000 pounds. Okay, maybe the 5 of us can bring this money together. Once you do your promo, your 1,000, 2,000,
and you can actually include a after-party negotiation in the contract, innit? When they are booking in, they can say, okay, you know what, we're going to a bigger space, but we still want you to touch the clubs, and they would have paid with the price.
Whatever it is, you understand what the bottom line is, you can't sit down and say, oh, just because doesn't mean anything. Because the truth is, if I wasn't the one managing Whiskey in 2010, when he came to your place, when you helped him, when you support, I don't know you. If Whiskey says, you know what, Bayo, Jashi, then that's him making that decision. Otherwise, I don't know you. You can come and tell me, oh, I was the one that... It doesn't mean anything.
This is the reason why when I talk to some of these artists today, I don't even try and say, oh, Baba, I did your birthday then, or you were at this birthday, we put you in VIP. I just try to let it go. Remember me.
For him, did you benefit anything at the time? If you benefited, look, at the end of the day, whether you made money at the time or not, is your business. Do you understand what I'm saying?
May I have a question though, before we round up? And it has nothing to do with this media stuff, because all our listeners are probably not into, media and all this stuff. You being somebody who has relocated to the UK and who has settled in nicely and are now flourishing and all that, you know how many years it took you to settle in. You know the obstacles you faced along the way. So my question to you is, what advice would you give, like, anyone right now that has kids, that is looking to, relocate abroad from Nigeria or any African country, like what would you say to them? Knowing what you know now. People always say, if I knew then what I knew now, I would move differently. So what would you say?
So the first thing I would say is don't come by yourself. If you are married or if you have a partner, even if you guys, God forbid, are divorced or separated or whatever, find a way to come together because you need help. You most definitely need help. As long as you guys are not going to kill each other, you guys have kids together, you want to give your kids a good chance, you need to both be here because end of the day, it's not something anyone can do by themselves if you have kids because it's one of two things. Even if you get a fantastic job, they are paying through the nose for childcare, it's pointless. So that means you are working your entire life to pay childcare. You don't have time for the kids. Why did you move here? You moved here for the kids. So you need to ensure that you have time for the kids. The only way to achieve that is in a 2-parent household where one person either stays at home for the other person to work, or you work in such a way that somebody comes home, somebody's out the door. So there's always one parent in the house taking care of the kids, feeding them, taking them to bed, taking them to school, So that way you have 2 incomes. Otherwise, if the one person has an income that's good enough to take care of everything, then it's probably best for that person to do the work and for the other person to be at home and get the children to school and back. But it's something that has to be discussed very, very thoroughly. You need to have conversations with veterans. You need to have conversations because you don't want to be caught unawares. I think that's the other thing. That culture shock thing where you realize all of a sudden that so I will have to yes you will. There are things you have to do by yourself. I don't think myself has reached by any standard, right? But when I was in Nigeria, we had 2 house helps, and my mother-in-law lived with us. We apparently have none of that here. Of course. So what that means is you have to do everything. Now I learned what that term means. That you have to do everything by yourself. When I was here with 2 of my kids, because what that meant is I needed to go to the toilet to clean up after them. Like it never occurred to me. Like I had to brush their teeth. I had to change them out of their clothes. I had to make their food. I had to clear their plates and wash. These are things you never actually consider. I thought I was a hands-on parent when I was in Nigeria because I took my kids to school, I brought them back home, I did their homework with them, and I was generally available. So I thought I was hands-on. It wasn't until I moved here and I was here with them by myself that I realized that this is actually the meaning of hands-on. Hands-on means if the kid is going to take water to school, you are the one that fills the bottle. You're the one that packs the bag, you're the one that bathes the kid, you're the one that you do every single thing. So these are the things you need to prepare for because it's hard work. This is hard labor. Welcome to the UK.
Were you going to say something?
That's it.
Okay. So, as we round up, I would like, I wanted to discuss this Nigerian senator that was caught with his wife trying to steal somebody's kidney, but I won't even talk about it because I just get angry. As we round up, all I want to say is you will never fully understand people. Stop trying. We all try too hard to figure out what people think about us and stuff like that. Just be as empathetic as you can. When it's called for.
Personally, I don't care. I honestly don't care what people think about me. Because the most important person in my life is me. So I don't worry my wife actually, maybe it's out of concern. I don't say, why should I care what somebody else thinks about me? Like, why?
I think women do more of the caring. Because it will be hard for me to say I found, a bunch of women that would say, I don't care what anyone says about. They will say it, but they do. They don't care. I think more of us men are like, I don't give a shit. Say what they want, I don't, it doesn't matter to me. Like, we don't care much like that. So yeah. So that's my last word for you today. Don't care. Live your life how you want. Remember, if you care, they'll still do what they want. If you don't care, they'll still do what they want. So just don't care. And with that, we'll see you next week. Take care of yourself. Be kind to one another. Peace out. Yes.